Back with the market right here on ET Now. Let's try and understand the puzzle that Z is turning out to be and the recent developments over there. Let me welcome on board then Abneesh Roy to talk about exactly that. Abneesh, hi, good morning. Good to have you on the show. What is it that you're making of these developments at Z?
I think this was expected with just 3.99% stake of promoters. In my view, this was just a case of when rather than if, especially given the stock was languishing for a lot of time in spite of mid-caps and lot of the other consumer names, media and stocks doing well. Key thing to watch here will be today's AGM, and we also need clarity whether the EGM will also be needed for full clarity. This is exactly similar to what was seen in Dish TV few days back. So there also Yes Bank, the largest shareholder of Dish TV, had asked for removal of the managing director and the other independent directors. Post that, if you see in the last few days, Dish TV stock has moved up almost 25-30%. So clearly, these stocks are available at a very comfortable and in fact cheap valuation. And there has been essentially concern at the promoter level. We did see the company addressing a lot of the promoter concerns in the last 1 year, which was a good development, and the stock had re-rated also partly had gone to 250, 260. So the stock, the company had addressed a lot of the concerns. So they were giving out quarterly key balance sheet numbers. They were sharing the related party transactions with Dish TV, City Cable. They were giving clarity on the investments. They were giving out numbers for ZFi, in spite of the fact that ZFi was one of the only listed entities in the OTT space apart from Balaji. So they were giving out a lot of these numbers. They had also defocused on Sugar Box, which was clearly seen as a diversification from the core business. And you now need to see four things. One is, of course, who is the new leadership if what Invesco has asked, those things get approved. What is the new leadership? Are all the board members which are proposed by Invesco? You need to see that. The constitution of the board, you need to see that also. In terms of the current team below Puneet Goenka, we would need to see on the continuity of that. Currently, the flagship channel is going through a revamp. They are launching a lot of new content, new marketing campaigns. So we would need to see and address that also. On a fundamental aspect, Z is improving market share quarter on quarter. Our sense is around 100 bps improvement is likely in Q2 from the Q1 disappointment. So whenever pandemic happens, Z loses market share because they don't have much of content in the comedy space and crime thriller space where some of their competitors have an edge. So now we would expect Z as a network to get back around 100 bps market share. And because economy is also opening up, overall advertising is looking up, and we do have festive season coming up. A lot of the sectors in the pandemic did not have a proper business case to advertise, and those sectors will come back. FMCG continuing to do well, other parts of the consumer also doing well. So fundamentally, Z is a very cheap stock at 10-12 times the multiple forward with dividend paying company, net debt zero, and it's in the broader consumption space. So I will say that if all these things go right, we have a new board and more independence is
right. Abneesh, now what is the guarantee that the new board or the new management will be able to do a better job than what the current board is not doing? Z's USP has been their ability to generate content at a significantly lower price than what others are doing. The current promoters or founders or the management in this case, they have mastered the art of creating content and they understand the Indian landscape like never before. Change of guard, I mean, there is no guarantee that it will be good news.
I would partly agree with what you are saying. Z is seen as a low cost and more focused on sustainable content rather than some of their competitors who use the big dollar kind of a content which is not sustainable. Z being a listed company did have that constraint, and that's why if you see, Star has got around 24% network share, non-sports, and Z has got around 18 to 19% sustained market share. In Q1 they went low because of the pandemic. You are partly right, but unlike a bank business, for example, if bank there are issues in terms of corporate governance, etc., the deposits go away. Media is a brand, and that's why the library is there, the brand is there, and the current management or the future management knows what is the USP of Z. It is not rocket science. They also know that Sony has got a particular style, Star has got a particular style. If I copy that, I think it will be a Me Too. So I will say I don't think that's a big risk. Yes, Puneet Goenka has done a decent job from a fundamental aspect. He has focused on the business. He exited sports. He has gone into new regional businesses, most of which are doing well. Yes, there has been a loss in market share in the flagship channel, but in such a large bouquet of channels, there is always going to be some wins and some losses. But I will say what you have highlighted is a small risk. I don't see that as a big risk. When you have such a big network and when you have a brand and such a large library, plus they have already done the hard work in Z5, I don't think that's a very big risk. And the new management also, or the existing management also, is doing a decent job. The more concern was essentially the concerns which came coming in terms of either the corporate governance which came in the last 2 years. Then we had the investor relation, that insider trading, all those were the bigger concerns. I think fundamentally the company is still doing reasonably well given the constraints of a listed entity. But yes, what you highlighted, I think management will continue to maintain the USP of the channel rather than becoming a Me Too. Then it will not work.
All right, Abneesh, appreciate your time. Good to have you, and always appreciate your wonderful insights. Nishal Maheshwari, if the Goenka